this is only day one, and I'm losing my mind because I'm already changed.
Incredible. And so many connections. It's crazy.
I came to take my speaking to the next level. They took my life to the next level.
Ain't no competition when you make it to the top.
More family time, more abundance. You've been made for more. Either you're in the midst of adversity, just came out of adversity, or you're about to head into some adversity. So you better be prepared for it either way.
Don't miss it because it's life-changing.
It's a term that I've created called occupational integrity. Do you do your job? You know what I'm saying? Do you operate with integrity in the space that you're supposed to be in? A lot of folks sometimes in the audience feel like, okay, this is a charge for me to be better for my company. It's like, no, this is a charge for you to be better for you.
Yeah.
I'm on another level. I'm on another level. I'm on another level. I'm on another level. I'm on another level.
Welcome back, y'all. It's the Next Level Living Podcast. Y'all, we rank #1 podcast amongst
anybody who like podcasts.
I mean, it's your favorite podcast.
Favorite podcast.
And we back. Y'all, another week, man. Another episode for greatness. I am so excited to be here. And I got the gang with me. Family, how y'all feeling? K-Hart.
I'm feeling good.
You feeling
I'm feeling
good?
really good today.
I remember you talk about feeling blessed no matter how you felt.
I'm feeling blessed.
I think
you know
that's
what?
super
Thank you for the
dope.
reminder.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling blessed. Yep.
That's dope. Jay, let's kick it to you, bro. How you feeling,
Man,
man?
I'm locked in, bro. Yeah, locked in, laser focused.
Okay.
Healthy, strong, got clarity. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You excited about this episode?
Yeah, I am, man. I got quite a bit I want to share. We'll see kind of which approach we want to take. I got a few different things I want to talk about. But before I do that, Chris, I believe you got somebody in our community
Exactly.
you want to talk about.
We want to shout out Imani Robinson. She did $7K for one engagement.
Wow.
So shout out to you, girl.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Jay was just talking about her, too. Shout out to Imani for sure.
We was.
Yeah.
He's talking about money. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I feel like the last few weeks we've been shouting out different women that have been getting, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 to speak. And so, people often say, is the public speaking, professional speaking space, is it dominated by men? I don't have the overall data. I don't know if anybody can really do that because so many people kind of speak part-time, but half of our community are women. And so to see them taking the stage and speaking and sharing, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
I'm like a proud parent sitting back seeing them get busy. Because some people go from $7 an hour. Hopefully they can make $7,000 in a month. But to get $7,000 in an hour by speaking and changing lives, it's a blessing, man. So shout out to Imani.
And the biggest reward is the lives that you're changing.
For sure.
That part.
Because $7K is just a drop in the bucket for all the people that, you touch. So, yeah.
I just talked to somebody, Chris, I think it was BJ. And BJ was just like, man, for years I was speaking. And he was just like, the peace I had inside my heart, he was speaking for free. Might get $500, might get $1,000. Most of the time it was free. He didn't even know that he could make a career out of it.
Yeah.
That's the type of people I like to coach and mentor.
That's good.
People come to me and say, I
You
want to make
already
money, I
doing
want to
it,
be a
yeah.
speaker. I'm not the coach for you. When you come and say you want to make impact, I'll show you how to do that and make income.
There you go.
You say you want to live a life of purpose?
Come on.
I'm going to show you how to chase purpose and make that profit. So the fact that Imani will do what she say, will speak for free, but now she can get compensated for it. It's like a double blessing.
Yeah. It is.
That's fire, man. It's nothing like it, man. It's nothing like the community, man. And just little points like you just said is a good reason why.
Yeah.
I think as we talking about our community, I think I want to highlight you as our leader, kind of just helping us out with some of the things that are pivotal for you in terms of your leadership and your focus going into this season of your life. And what are some things that are so important to you, especially for this episode, that you maintain or that you're intentional about that you would like to help us out with? I know you got some good stuff.
So, so the name of this episode or the name of this podcast is the Next Level Living Podcast.
You're right.
Absolutely.
And for years, I have been talking about go to the next level, go to the next level. You should look for your next level. You should chase your next level. Well, I finally have a word for what that process looks like. I finally have a term, a phrase for what chasing that next level looks like.
Okay.
And I'm excited to share that.
What is it?
It's a term that I've created called occupational integrity.
Okay. Break that down.
Yeah, occupational integrity. So let me give you the origins of it. So basically, occupational integrity on the high level is, do you do your job?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do you operate with integrity in the space that you're supposed to be in, right? And so as a business owner, as a CEO, I have multiple different companies, a bunch of amazing team members.
Okay.
And I remember one day talking to one of our team members who I just love dearly. Like, this guy is so amazing, right? But I had to have a real conversation with him. And I started having H&M conversations, right? The heart and mind. So I remember talking to him. I saw his heart was in a good place. And so I was just like, okay, because I'm look like I can see the talent in people, and I was like, you're not quite. You could do better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could do better. Like, you might fool other people, but I see the greatness inside you. And that ain't no motivational speaking talk.
Right.
Like, I really do know what you're capable of. If not, you wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah.
And so we had a H&M conversation. Your heart, good. Mind, okay. But I had to ask him a few questions, and luckily, he was honest. I said, hey, man, let me ask you a question. If I would, this role and responsibility I gave you, if I told you I would give you a bonus, maybe 10% extra on every person that signed up, like some type of financial incentive, would you have done a better job?
Yeah.
Would the end results be greater or higher? You know, would you have produced more? And he was just like, yeah, but not because I'm motivated by money, but more so because I was incentivized. I was like, that's actually the definition of being motivated by money in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But I got what he was saying. Like, I'm not driven by the money, but just the extra incentive. He was honest, luckily, and was just like, I actually would have put forth more effort. And it just flowed out of my mouth. I just said, man, you know what? I need for everybody within our organization to operate with occupational integrity. And it's like, at that moment, it was birthed. It was like, I finally have the words to put with the lifestyle I've been pushing, I've been living, and I've been promoting. And so in a nutshell, I can kind of explain occupational integrity by answering 6 questions. So I've created 6 questions that every person must ask themselves as they're looking to see if they're operating with occupational integrity.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. You got anything you want to say about it, Kay?
I mean, just what's question number 1?
right.
Oh, true. Okay, you gonna break it down on one episode?
Yeah. So the first question, is, do you do your job efficiently and effectively?
Okay.
Without anybody having to watch you, without anybody having to oversee you, without anybody micromanaging you? Can we expect for you to show up, do your job efficiently and effectively without having to be watched? That's the first question somebody has to ask themselves. If they're trying to figure out, do I operate with occupational integrity? That's the first question.
I think that's important, because if I heard that from somebody, I would think that's like level 4. Like, can you do everything without me watching you? I'm thinking that, like, that's an elite part of your job, is people not needing to be micromanaged, or people having integrity to do it. Like, I think integrity is such a big part that will be higher up. But you're saying that's the base. Like, that's where we start the conversation at.
Well, so that's actually good. I needed that.
Yeah.
Because in my brain, that's the bottom level. But I see there are people that, I'm going to show up to work, but I'm going to show up late.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm going to show up to work, but I ain't going to really be all in.
Yeah.
But for me, like, that ground floor, that bottom level is, I show up, I do my job efficiently and effectively. You ain't got to have no secret GoPro cameras. You don't have to micromanage me. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do.
Right. And I guess that comes naturally when you're doing something you want to do versus you're doing something that you have to do.
It's something you believe in.
Okay. Because there are some people that show up at the job every single day and they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
But and now you have to ask yourself, that's where the integrity piece kicks in. Because just because you're not passionate about it, it's like, okay, well, what if I'm not passionate about paying you? I'm paying you $20 an hour.
That's real.
Right. I'm paying you a certain amount of money to do a certain job.
Yeah.
But because you're not passionate about it, you're not going to do your job efficiently and effectively. Like, fundamentally, that's a character flaw. In a perfect world, it's like, man, I actually enjoy my job. I'm going to give it my all. But there are great people in the world that says, you know what? I actually despise my job, but I'm still going to do a great job because that's what you're expecting me to do, and that's what you're paying for me to do.
And that's what I agreed to do.
That part.
Right. So then I guess the shift then becomes in a situation like that where your occupational integrity is to yourself and to making sure that you're doing that for the company versus it being no?
Crack the code. No, that's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
Because most
cool.
people, when I travel and speak, and I've been privileged to work with some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
When I travel and speak and I present this message, a lot of folks sometimes in the audience feel like, okay, this is a charge for me to be better for my company. It's like, no, this is a charge for you to be better for you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Okay.
And so now we go to the second question
Okay.
of occupational integrity.
Okay.
Do you do your job efficiently and effectively without somebody having to watch you at the highest level?
Yeah.
What is that? What's the difference between that and the first?
So efficiently and effectively, somebody can say, hey, I showed up. I was supposed to be at work at 8 and I get off at 5. I clock in, I clock out on time, and I'm actually doing the job. I'm meeting the quota and I'm getting it done.
Okay.
But then it's another level to say, I gave my best to the job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
somebody else you showed up on time, you left on time, and you did the job, but maybe you didn't do the best job.
So
It's like a
number 2
teacher could be in the classroom.
The quality of your...
right, the quality of the work
okay.
at the highest level. So a teacher can be teaching in the classroom.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you are teaching a lesson plan, but, there's a kid here that is struggling, you know what I'm saying? Or there's some ruckus going on here, or, you just sent this kid to the principal's office, and, you can't do that, but you could have had a chance to have a better interaction with them. Like, could you have operated at the highest level? So that's why I say efficient and effectively is the base,
Right.
the ground floor. That next level is you do it at the highest level.
Got you.
Without being watched, without being micromanaged. But you, on the inside, you have enough peace to say, you know what, I'm
Right.
good with this because this is who I am.
Right.
Can I give you an example?
Please.
So I think about one of our team members that works for our company, Sophie. So Sophie is our elite program coordinator.
Okay.
So she does all of our different events across the country and Cancun, right? So Sophie asked for a few days off of work a few weeks back. She asked for like Monday, Tuesday off or something like that. So I get word, I'm give the thumbs up. Okay, great, go for it.
Yeah.
So I called Sophie Monday. I said, hey, how was your weekend? I know so-and-so's coming to town because she's writing a book. And so she was like, oh, my weekend's very productive. I said, productive? Like, how's your weekend productive? Typically, somebody says, my weekend was relaxing. My weekend was fun.
Yeah.
So she says, well, I worked this weekend. I said, why'd you work? She was like, well, I got a job to get done, right? Well, I'm the program coordinator. Like, I don't want the ball to get dropped. I said, but you asked for Monday and Tuesday off.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, you all approved for me to have off Monday and Tuesday, but you didn't approve for my performance to be poor.
Yeah.
You didn't approve for the ball to get dropped.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't want when we have our next event, and all these people flying in town for it, it's not as good as it could be.
Wow.
And then I blamed it on me taking off.
Wow.
I wasn't even impressed that she says, she wasn't like 8-hour days.
Yeah.
She said she worked like 4 to 5 hours one day and then like 5 to 6 hours, but that's still on the weekend. That's like full time.
That feels like a full day.
Right, but she didn't. But that's like the highest level. Like, because she could have said, hey, I'm off Monday and
Right.
Tuesday.
We'll deal with it
and
when
I'm
I
gonna
get
kick it
back.
this weekend.
Based on conditioning, based on us knowing that the weekends are for rest.
Right.
But she didn't because she didn't want her work to suffer.
Right. Again, that's the highest level.
Yeah.
So that's an example of somebody that's like, you know what? I have a job to do. And even though I'm going to take off, still not going to take off, you know what I'm saying, from my obligation.
That's
Yeah.
major.
And so, and I wasn't even, here's the thing. I wasn't even impressed that she worked Saturday and Sunday. She wasn't even like, hey, can y'all give me credit for it? We would have never knew.
Yeah.
The management would have never known. I just happened to have a conversation checking in saying, hey, I know you're going to be getting with your book writing coach.
Yeah.
And then I found out.
Wow.
So that's the second question you have to ask yourself. Do I do my job efficiently and effectively at the highest level
Yeah.
without being watched or monitored?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Well, let's keep it moving, man. What's number 3 then?
So the third question you ask yourself is, do I do my job efficiently and effectively at the highest level without anybody having to watch me, and I don't need praise, credit, or accolades? Right, and that's hard. And for the record, those of you watching, I'm not saying you should not get credit. I'm not saying you should not be rewarded. I'm not saying you should not be praised. You should. I'm not saying you should not receive accolades, like that's a good thing, right? I believe for every company to have a really good culture, you should honor and give praise and credit where credit is due.
Affirmation, yeah.
But I feel like it is a fundamental internal problem if your performance is tied to the praise.
It's based on that, yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I could have did a better job, but because I didn't get the recognition or the reward, I'm only going to give you a little bit because you don't appreciate it.
Yeah, because you took the credit for my work last time. I'm not going to go above and beyond this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be the case where somebody took the credit. Or it could just be like, hey, you don't recognize what I do. It's like, well, I do. I pay you.
Yeah.
Like, you get paid to do a job.
Yeah.
So this is, for a lot of people struggle with this. This is like a different mindset shift here. So do you do your job at the highest level, efficiently and effectively, without anybody having to watch or micromanage you, without you getting praise, credit, or approval? Let me give you another example.
Okay.
So Deani, one of our companies, we have a media production, branding, design studio, right? Next Level Brand Studio. So we do websites, we do logos, we do video productions for certain clients. So we had this one client, we've got to like nail it. The stuff's got to be in by like Monday by close of business. So I remember having a conversation with Deani, like, hey, we cannot let the ball drop. She's like, okay, yep, I got it. My team's going to get it done. Now, Deani doesn't do the work.
Yeah.
Deani manages our graphic team, our media video producers. She manages them. So I get a call from the client Monday afternoon. Jeremy, you guys nailed it. Phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased. They just sent me my media package. This is brilliant. I didn't think you can get it done with such a quick turnaround. I'm like, wow. I called Deani, the manager. I'm like, she's over the whole program.
Yeah.
I'm like, Deani, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great job. Make sure the team knows. She was like, yep, I'll tell the team.
When I left my 9-to-5 during a national pandemic, I never saw myself 3 years later having a full-time coaching and speaking business that would sustain me beyond my corporate salary. My name is Demetra Moore. I am a professional coach and speaker. Being a part of the Next Level community has done some amazing things in my life. It has allowed me to excel and grow in my business and has helped me to become an expert communicator. With the support of the Next Level community and coaches, and not to mention the accountability, I have been able to make 6 figures in 12 months. If someone would have told me that I could make this amount of income impacting the lives of leaders and entrepreneurs, I'd call them crazy.
Then we have a team meeting virtually, and I'm like, hey, team, great job. They're like, they're taking credit.
Yeah.
I find out months later, it was Deani that worked that weekend that saw that project cross to the finish line.
Yeah.
She wasn't looking. When I called and said, hey, I'm so glad we got it done, tell the team I said thank you. She could have said, well, actually, Jay, that was actually me.
Yeah.
She would not have been wrong for that.
Yeah.
She could have said, hey, just so you know, boss, I will tell the team, but just so you know, I worked over the weekend to help it cross the finish line.
Yeah.
She never said that.
Yeah.
She was like, yep, I'll let the team know. That's a different type of energy. So that's the third question you got to ask yourself when it comes to occupational integrity. Do you do your job efficiently and effectively at the highest level without anybody watching you or micromanaging you, without needing any praise, credit, or accolades? And I feel like that, when we get to that part of humanity, when we become that type of person, that's now you're dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not even just impressed that Deani said that she got it done. I'm impressed that she didn't need credit for it.
Yeah.
That on the inside, she was secure and happy that says, hey, I got it done.
Yeah.
And that was enough. She didn't need me to say, great job.
Yeah.
She looked at herself in the mirror and said, great job.
Yeah.
That's a different type of energy right there.
Yeah.
Like so she didn't need me to say, hey, I'm really proud of you. And did I tell her later? Absolutely, when I found out.
Right.
But that's not what fueled her. She just got it done because it needed to get done.
But you know what? Also, Deani's the type of person that if there's a failure for the team, she's going to say it's on her. She did it, even if she didn't do it. And if there's a success for anyone on the team, I think she's also going to take that on and say, okay, that's a success for us collectively. So any losses or gains is a group, like, feeling versus it just being a singular person thing.
And that's a sign of a good leader.
Yeah.
And that's why she's in the position she's in.
Yeah.
Because of her heart's posture.
Nice.
And so if I can give you all another example, because I can keep bragging on my company, our team,
Yeah.
right? But if you think about those in the military,
Yeah.
we don't know how many times SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, Navy SEAL stopped some terrorist attack from happening.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many times we was on a plane and the FBI came through. We don't know how many times there was about to be something really painful or bad that happened, or a marathon or a big carnival. Like, we don't know how many times, you know what I'm saying, they went in and rescued those 30 hostages and got them back home safely.
Right.
Like, we don't know how often that happens.
Yeah.
And when someone passes and they're in those elite level, it's only a star.
Yeah.
Sometimes when those armed service people pass, they don't even get their name up on the board. It's just a star on the wall.
Yeah.
Right? That's another type. That's like hero status.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't do what I do every single day. I'm not stopping these attacks from hitting our country. Like, we live in the land of the free because of the brave. They're not doing that for praise or accolades or for a bonus.
True.
They're like, man, you trusted me to keep our family safe. You trusted me to save these lives. You trusted me to look out for our country.
Yeah.
You trusted me to, you know what I'm saying, protect our country and protect this land. Like, that's a different type of energy. And so some people are just motivated by saying, man, you trusted me to do this job. Watch how I do this job. I will lay my life down for this job. And I'm not looking for any praise, any credit, any accolades. I'm going to do the absolute best I can do because that's who I am. And so when we think about occupational integrity, that next level is just saying, man, am I happy with who I see in the mirror?
Yeah.
Right.
When I look in the mirror, am I able to operate at the highest level?
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is not easy. Sometimes you have to grow into that, but that's the greatness that everybody is looking for. And I'm attracted to that.
This is good.
So when I see that energy inside of I'm attracted to greatness. Like, that's like a turn on for me. I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, that's special. Like, that's something different there.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't have it.
No. Yeah.
And but everybody can have it. But it's like,
So
you got to go from
they
one
gotta
level
train.
to the next level.
Yeah,
next
they
level.
got to keep
So
conditioning.
that's the
okay.
third question
So
you
then,
got to ask yourself.
that's I thought that was 4. That was. That was only 3.
I thought that was 4 too. Dang, I thought you went
You
into
know
the
how
fourth.
it's because of how I listed it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go.
Because I said, so it was do your job efficiently and effectively
Yep.
without being watched.
Right.
And then the highest.
Then is do your job at the highest level
Uh-huh.
without being watched.
And
Then do your job efficiently and effectively at the highest level without being
praise.
watched and without needing praise or accolades.
Okay.
Now the next question is, can you do all of that in the midst of challenges, in the face of adversity,
Okay.
when it seems like everything is going wrong in your world? That's another level. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan till you get hit in the mouth.
Push in the mouth,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, because I realize we're not robots. We're humans. People get tired. People get discouraged. They have marital issues. They can get that diagnosis. They suffer from depression. And so are you bringing your best to the table, operating efficiently and effectively at the highest level without needing praise or accolades in the middle of crisis or in the middle of heartbreak? Right. And that's the really, really hard question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm not even expecting people to be perfect. Because the reality is, if your world's in crisis or things are dysfunctional at home or you're suffering from depression or anxiety or, you know what I'm saying, like it's been a weird couple of months for you, you can't even give us 100%, but can you give 50?
Right.
You know, or do you use that as an excuse?
Yeah.
So that's the fourth question you have to ask yourself is, am I doing the best I can do with what I have? So I was just working with a
That's
leader
good. I was going
in Michigan, and they were just like, Jeremy, like, you know, I'm hearing your message and I'm doing the best I can. And I was just like, that's all we're asking for. And they said, but I'm not 100%. I didn't ask for 100%. Can you do your absolute best that you're able to do?
100% of what you have.
So you might be bringing 60% to the table.
Yeah.
But because of what you're dealing with internally, that 60% is 100% of what you have.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so just really seeing the human part
Yeah.
of that. So this is a message, a framework that challenges humans, but it's also something that sees the humanity. Because there are some people that says, oh, well, I can't be great because this happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, there is a whole bunch of people who grew up in poverty.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of people who lived in war zones and in different countries and fled and became refugees and came here and did something great. So it says something special about the one that says, you know what? I'm going to do the best I can with what I have
Yeah.
and go forward from there.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's possible.
And that's all that's necessary. is to know that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think also the breakdown that you're given is so important because it also allows people to give themselves grace. Sometimes people think that they can't make someone, they can't please someone who's in an authority to them because they think they have to give what they don't have. What by you breaking that down, you're not giving them credit for giving 60%. You just gave them credit for giving 100.
Correct.
Because you told them to give 100 of what they had.
Correct.
And so now what you did is you erased the expectation off of them to do what was impossible because of what life has given them.
Right.
So while this may sound like you're just pushing people to go to a next level, I also want people to know that there's a next level of grace that people got to give to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be easier on yourself so that you can actually speak to me clearly and know that I don't want more from you than what you have.
Mm-hmm.
I just want all of what you're able to give.
That part.
You know,
Yep.
just like I don't want you cheating me, I don't want to cheat you either. When life is getting tough on you, I want to meet you halfway. What do you got? Okay, please give me that 50. That 50 is 100 to me because I know not only is this where you're at, but you're willing to give me all of that. That says a lot about a leader and the person as well. So I appreciate you giving that because I see that from a different perspective now.
I'm thinking about another teammate we have for our company. I won't mention this person's name, but
Okay.
I just realized that their 2023 was the hardest year of their life. So to see this person operate, my respect level, I didn't think it could go any higher. Because I'm like, wow, you're very reliable. You're very dependable. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you get it done.
Right.
To know that this person was dealing with crisis internally, and this was the work, it just says something different.
Yeah.
And so I, as much as I'm focused on that though,
Yeah.
do you do your job efficiently and effectively without being watched and monitored? Do you operate at the highest level? And then can you do all of that without getting praise, credit, or accolades?
Right.
And can you do that in the midst of challenges and adversities? You know, I don't want people to just win at home.
Okay.
I want them also to win in life as a whole.
Yeah.
Right? So when I think about the fourth question is, do you do it in the midst of challenges? That's when I go back to the challenges my wife and I had
Okay.
when her body was failing her. You know what I'm saying? And she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and endometriosis and adenomyosis. And we went, you know, and intimacy in itself was painful for her. Like I had to make a decision at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't say till death to us part as long as we can still have great sex. I was just like, man, till death to us part, for richer, for poor, for better, for worse, right? In sickness and in health.
Yeah.
So as painful as it is, as much as I felt my world was caving in on the inside, as much as I was fighting from depression because I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel loved, I realized like, man, you're hanging on for your very life. You're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, how can I operate with occupational integrity? Because let me tell you something, Mike, I believed I was a phenomenal husband.
Right.
So I'm like, yep, I'm doing the husband role efficiently and effectively.
Yeah.
Absolutely I am. And I'm doing it. I don't need a bunch of praise, credit, or accolades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna do it at the highest level. But I'm like, oh, but the one thing I need, you can't give it to me. It's painful. We're losing babies. You know what? I'm a fast. And so I actually went through 9 months of no sex from my wife. And I was just like focused on making love to her heart. Like making love to her mind, like making love to her soul, making love to her spirit, taking her on dates, still holding hands, right? But just finding other ways to love on her. And I was just like, I'm going to be okay, and did that and still kept my eyes pure and wasn't on no websites at night, right? That's the biggest thing I think I'm most proud of. That was probably the hardest 9 months of my life.
Yeah.
But when we talk about occupational integrity, it's really occupying that role as a husband.
Yeah.
So which now takes us from the challenge to the fifth question.
Yep.
Is you operate the highest level without having to be watched, without praise, without accolades, all of that. But do you give that same energy at home? I literally got done speaking for the Ford Motor Company about a few weeks ago. And a gentleman came up to me afterwards and said, Jeremy, I needed this message. He said, man, I'm a star at work, but I suck at home. And I said, wow.
Yeah.
And he realized, and I can't tell you how many teachers of the years, how many salesmen of the years, how many senior VPs or somebody that got partner for their law firm, and I'm meeting with them and we're doing lunch and we're talking. Then I ask them, how are things at home? 9 times out of 10, they said, man, I'm giving my company, my organization my best and my family the rest.
Yeah.
So when we think about occupational integrity, oftentimes people feel like, oh, it's in the spaces what we do for an occupation.
It's the job that pays you.
Right. This is the opportunity for you to operate with integrity in all the spaces you occupy as a human. So occupational integrity, So occupational integrity isn't just do you operate with integrity with your occupation. It's like, no, in all the spaces you occupy as a human. So now we have to say, okay, let's say you check off all the boxes at work, right? And you're efficiently and effectively at a high level. You don't need praise or accolades in the midst of challenges. Do you give that same spirit of excellence when you come home to your husband or your wife?
Right.
When you come home to your son or your daughter?
That's good. Dang,
that's the next question we have to ask ourselves. Because I've literally seen situations, which is heartbreaking to say, where I've been to schools and I've been speaking for schools, career day or whatever. I'm at the school and I'm meeting kids afterwards in tears. I wish my dad was in my life. And I'm like, man, your father's never been there? No, whether in prison, jail, divorce, whatever. But I've also been to schools where they're like, man, I wish my dad was in my life. I'm like, man, when's the last time you saw your dad? They're like, well, this morning. And I'm like, well, what do you mean?
He busy always.
Well, he's always at work.
Yeah.
And so when I see the same brokenness in a young child that's like, my father I haven't even seen him, versus one that's like, I see him, he comes and goes, but he's always working, the damage oftentimes is the same. And so if we really think about it, what's more important? We do all of the work we do for these companies, these organizations, so we can provide for our family. But our family is the driving point, but oftentimes that's what gets the end of the bud.
I don't want to skip past that. You said them missing out, the pain of it had nothing to do with whether or not the father was physically present or not.
Right.
The pain of missing out had to do from a lack of intention. Their focus was somewhere else, and it left someone else lacking in an area to the point to where you said that the pain was still the same.
It's almost like it could be worse too, because then that's the example of the type of relationship you likely will have in the future.
Wow.
It's like, is this even healthy? Wow. Is this something that you're going to perpetuate in the next generation as well as normal? Like, you can normalize something like that, an absent parent.
Yeah.
My parent was absent, so I got to make sure I work as hard to also provide, but then still create another generation of absence.
Yeah.
And so with this, it's like, no, I cannot be absent because I have to do a good job at everything I do. If it's my occupation in any sort of, scenario, I have to be there and operate at the highest level without anybody watching.
No praise.
No praise. No. Yeah. And so it's like oftentimes fathers feel like they probably don't get as much praise as they would like, but still doing and knowing that you're creating that impact in your child's life or your family's life is like the most important part.
That's good. Because it's like my daughter, Jewel, I love my baby girl. She's very blessed, privileged, spoiled, some might say. And she doesn't realize how great of a father I am. But just because I don't get that recognition, does that mean now I'm not going to be a great father?
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, you don't appreciate me. She's 11. She doesn't get it. All she's known is that she's actually gotten accustomed to having an amazing and present father.
Yeah.
So just because you're not mature enough to show me your appreciation doesn't mean that I should say, okay, I'm going to take it away.
I'm not going to do it or withdraw.
So this fifth question is what a lot of folks, especially like in corporate America, they struggle with. It's just like, man, am I operating efficiently and effectively at the highest level without getting praise and accolades in the midst of challenges? And am I bringing that same energy at home when it comes to my family?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think about when Tracy got sick, in addition to the fast, we went vegan for several years.
Yeah, I remember that.
I love a juicy ribeye. You know what I'm saying? But it was breaking her body down. And so the only way for her to be able to live and thrive and survive and get the healing is by going strictly plant-based. And so I was just like, man, the same energy. I'm a problem solver. With all the 4 different companies I own, I'm a problem solver. I feel like entrepreneurship and being a CEO, half of it is making pivots and solving problems.
Correct.
And so I would be willing to if Deanna came to me and said, hey, Jay, we got an issue here, I'm going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So when I saw my wife was sick, as uncomfortable as it was, I'm going to solve a problem. If you don't eat beef, I don't eat beef.
Yeah.
If you don't eat chicken, I don't eat chicken. If you don't do dairy, I don't do dairy. Right? Because that's hurting you. If it's hurting you, it's hurting me. If it's hurting me, it's hurting we.
Yeah.
And so I had to have a shift in my mindset. So even when you think about occupational integrity in that space, it's just like, okay, it's me, but it's also those people that have been privileged to govern over, take care of, provide for every single day.
It just feels like you're just unwilling to take shortcuts, right? So as you breaking down this occupational therapy, like you're saying powerful stuff. If it's not you, then it's me. If it's us, then it's we, or like all the stuff that you said. But I'm like, basically what you're saying is that you're putting it on you to match whatever it is she's going through. And for me, I just think that that's powerful because I see so many people in situations it's like, oh, well, I'm doing something separate for my husband. I'm doing something separate for my wife because she can't eat that or she doesn't do that. But they take themselves completely out of it. That's their situation. Now, I understand it, but that's not me to go through. For you to put that on yourself, are you saying that that's a part of occupational therapy? Like that or intelligence, I'm sorry, occupational intelligence for you to be that intentional to literally just do what you got to do? Yeah, man, that's crazy.
So I'll say this.
That's wild.
So yes.
Hate myself.
I am.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Crazy how good life gets.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love it.
For sure.
So, and I get it because it's a new term.
Thank you, man.
And it's something that we're all coming to terms with.
I've only heard the word occupational therapy up until this point.
Yeah.
And so as I keep hearing you say occupational intelligence.
Integrity.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
Yes, artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
right now, this is AI.
Right.
What I'll do is I'll be quiet by myself, and then you can just teach me the rest.
There we go.
For sure.
So I'll say this. So I thought about, for a split second, one thing Coach Crump our director likes to say is that I've got triple mastery, right? And so when I process things really fast. And so one thing that I realized that, you could scramble tofu, and I could grill chicken. You could have the vegan food, and I could still have meat. But I knew she wouldn't last long.
Yeah.
She would probably, that's hard to manage.
It takes a community to really be able to accomplish
so I knew,
that,
and then I also wanted to say, hey, we're taking this journey together.
Yeah.
And so that would almost be equivalent to me saying, okay, I'm going to put rules in place for the team, but not for myself.
Yeah.
Like I remember telling one of our directors, like, hey, don't send our media team your slides at the last minute. Don't put that pressure on them.
Yeah.
So I realized, like, as a leader, I could say, well, because I own the company and I pay them, I can give you my slides at the last minute. I said, nope, I didn't get my slides in the time. It's my responsibility. I'll make my own slide presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking ownership. So the same rules I give them, the same standard and level of that I want them to excel, I'm putting that on me as well. And then that takes us to our final question.
Okay.
The final question is, do you do all of that energy, all that excellence, and do you apply it to you personally, internally, your body, your mind? We talking about everybody else. Do you do your job at the highest level, efficiently and effectively, without getting praise, credit, approval in the midst of challenges? And do you do it for your family? But do you do it for yourself? We're not human doers. We're human beings. So I've been showing those individuals when I take the stage now how to go from knowing to doing to being. Like how to be the person you're supposed to be. Because that's the only way. Because some people probably watching this interview is thinking like, okay, now how am I going to do that? How am I going to just win at home? And how am I going to win at work and operate at this highest level? And it's almost impossible. Yes, if you're not taking care of yourself. So it's like the same way you're intentional about giving your job your all, your company your all, your wife, your children, your husband, your spouse your all. Do you give you your all? What are you feeding your body? What are you feeding your mind? You know what I'm saying? What's your sleep patterns like? Like, are you eating healthy? Do you exercise? When you wake up in the morning, do you just rush off to work and looking at numbers, or do you take some time for yourself for prayer or meditation or yoga or whatever? Like, you occupy the space as a human. You occupy your body. You occupy the space of your mind. They say that the average, from a Harvard research study, says that the average adult American has between 12 to 60,000 thoughts per day. 80% of those thoughts are negative. 95% of those thoughts are repetitive. We occupy the space within our minds, within our bodies. So what are we doing to make sure we take this best care of our mind as possible and to take the best care of our body as possible so that we can now be, not know what to do, and not just do things, so that we can be the best person. I love that. And so my early mornings, You know, I go to sleep early and I wake up early. When I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm pouring into me.
Yeah.
Now I have the mental bandwidth and the physical energy to be strong for my wife, to be strong for my children,
Right.
to bring my best to the table when it comes to my team.
Right.
I don't have the luxury of doing what other people might do because too much is given, much is required. And so as we go on this journey of occupational integrity, it's really something that has to have you rooted and grounded
Yeah.
and super disciplined so you can really soar.
Nice. I'm glad you gave that example because I was going to say, like, how can somebody, like, visualize doing all those things and being successful at it? So you said waking up early, spending time with yourself, God. Then it's like, okay, I have time now for my kids and my wife early morning. Throughout the day, you handle your business. You cut it off at a certain time, hopefully, right? And then after that, you have time for the wife and kids later on that evening. And then you start it and do it all again the next day.
Right. And you gotta have the mental bandwidth. You gotta be coherent. You gotta know, okay, my wife needs some more love and affection. It's time for a trip, or I need to take her on a date night.
So you gotta know how to balance
or let me do something nice. Let me make a bouquet of flowers for her. Like, sometimes those small gestures go a very long way.
And being in tune with the need,
Being in tune with the need, that part.
For sure.
Right? And so, like, my daughter, like, I told my wife, I said, hey, I want Jewel to travel with me once a month.
Yeah.
Pick any gig, I don't care. I want her to travel with me once a month. She's an author. I want her to be able to do a book signing at certain events. I want to have more time with her. She's been begging me to let her ride the bus. And I'm like, nope, that's daddy-daughter time in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just being intentional, but I only have the mental bandwidth for that because I'm taking the time to take care of me, to make sure that I'm in the best position. And so really it's boundaries.
Okay.
If I would give anybody a recommendation or help or advice, it would be set boundaries. It's a certain time your phone should be on Do Not Disturb. It's a certain times you got to shut down that laptop. It's a certain times you got to even tell your kids, hey, son, hey, daughter, hey, 3 boys, whatever, however many kids you got. That was fun. Daddy done wrestled with you. Now daddy and mama need some time.
Yeah.
Or daddy needs some time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run me a hot bath and put some Epsom salt and some bubbles in there and
Come on.
pour me a glass of wine and watch me a Netflix show for an hour.
Right.
Then I'll get in bed and talk to my wife, right?
Yeah.
But you need to have that time
Even for yourself.
Yeah.
Man.
And so many high-performing individuals go, and do for everyone else, and then they experience burnout.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I believe to really experience that next level living,
Listen,
we got to be
it's
balanced so
real.
that we can take care of ourselves.
Right.
So for me, because I hear you dropping gems, and I just don't want it to go over the average person's head who is looking at this and taking themselves out of being able to accomplish this or actually do this. Boundaries is so important that nothing should be off limits to being on the list. You just said that you would take time for yourself before you even go your wife at the end of the day because you needed that time for yourself.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Because sometimes I was like, okay, I'll spend some time with Tracy.
Right.
And then I'll go and retreat.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but the whole thing is that you know that it's important to the point that you need your peace to even be able to give her quality you.
Absolutely.
Right? So what I'm saying is that for individuals who have gotten accustomed to coming home, turning on the TV, turning on the news, turning on different things that have been a part of your system. And then when you finally finish at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I don't have no time. Yeah, you do. Go ahead and delete Instagram for a second. Go ahead and delete Facebook. Go ahead and turn the TV off. You know what I'm saying? For a month. Not for a day, until you reset what's most important and fill in those little gaps. And then all of a sudden, fill in all the extra stuff with the fluff of the stuff you used to do. But a lot of times we tell ourselves we don't have time, and it's just because we're unwilling to take out the things that we've gotten used to.
we haven't prioritized that time.
We have to reprioritize it. So Netflix is not a guarantee. Just because you've been paying this $6.99 a month, it's like $11.99 now. Like it done jumped up. But but whatever it is that you thought was comfortable, you have to erase and start over with a new list of what's most important to you. And that's where you can start putting in those 6 questions and adding into your life and filling in with the rest. So I love what you said about boundaries, man. I appreciate personally the breakdown of
occupational integrity.
Yeah.
all of this because what it does for me is it took it from being something that only certain people could do and how it is accessible for everybody or and applicable for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
And the most important, the one that stuck out the most to me though is giving your 100% of whatever you have.
that's good. That grace.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
'Cause
many
there are
gems,
some
bro.
there are some extraordinary people in the world, and they're doing the best that they can with what they have, and that should be commended. But then there are those that's like, you could do better.
Do it 'cause of...
And so it's really an internal thing.
And we all can do better.
Yeah, we all can do better.
And but when we hear that, that's why it's probably your favorite part, is because better always looks like doing more.
Yeah.
And you're saying that better is just doing all.
Yeah.
Doing all of what you can. Not doing, I'm not asking for more. I'm asking for all. Tell me what you have available, and I need all of that.
Yeah. You know what this is? Fundamentally, this is a call to greatness.
Mm-hmm.
This is a call to greatness. I'm calling people on the floor. It's just like, I know what's inside you. I know what you're capable of. You ask these 6 questions.
Yeah.
Are you doing your absolute best, giving your highest level, spirit of excellence to your job, efficiently and effectively, without being watched or monitored, without needing praise or accolades in the midst of challenges? And do you give that same energy at home, or do you give that same energy to yourself?
That's good.
That's how you become unstoppable.
That's good.
I like that. Thank you.
Fire.
Love it, bro.
We'll see y'all next week.
I'm on another level.